This for you.
Oh, for
Yeah, I
real?
was gonna give it to a thrift shop, but I was like, yeah, nah, I'm cool.
Oh, you already know this. Me.
Yeah,
No, this me.
exactly.
You already know. No, that's me. What's up, people? This is the first official wordplay podcast called The Village, and I'm here with my first guest today, Mr.
Kenny Glenn. I'm glad to be on Brandon's podcast episode and grateful to be the first one. All right, so my Instagram is KG the Speaker, and what I love to do is speak life into others to inspire and empower them.
All right, then. Let's go inside.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Man, it's February 2024, Black History Month, but I feel like Black history is forever. So I'll never be confined to 28 or 29 days.
Yeah, heard
But
that.
life is good, man. Busy, but blissful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What you got going on, man? Well, first of all, like, how did we even meet? Like,
Man, we met. It was at Square Mile in Mount Healthy. Square Mile Coffee.
oh, that's right.
Yep.
For Desiree. Shout out to
Yeah,
Desiree.
shout out to Desiree, the
Yeah.
silent poet. And
Yeah, for
sure. Man, I was coming straight from a Black Boys in Tech event, and then
Okay, that was dope.
yeah, because who else was speaking on the panel? Camille Jones. Yeah,
Okay.
she was speaking on the panel.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, because is that your aunt?
Desiree?
Yeah.
Desiree is my cousin.
Cousin, there we go. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
my
y'all was
cousin,
related
yeah.
somehow, some way.
Yeah.
And so then you performed, and I was like, hey man, this guy is dope. Like he's literally spitting real lyrics.
Appreciate it.
And someone like me, I've always appreciated real music. And one, I'm an auditory learner in general.
For
But
sure, me
then
too. Audiobooks.
Growing up, the type of music my parents listened to, whether it was from a dad hip hop standpoint, breaking down Jay-Z lyrics,
Okay.
or mom listening to Michael Jackson, Luther Vandross, Lionel Richie, Stevie Wonder, right? I'm listening to what the artist is truly saying, right? My dad would literally like play some Jay-Z. He would stop in the middle of the song, like, what did this line mean?
Yeah.
All right, what did this line mean? You'll get that when you get older. It was like, man, what the? I need.
Yeah, that's
And
that
so,
literature, man.
yeah.
The first literature, like, I really was exposed to for real. Like, man, just that writing, man. Like, you know what I mean? It was just, them dudes were saying, man, just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Nas, AZ, you know, Jay.
Man,
you know,
AZ go crazy.
AZ go crazy,
Yeah,
bro.
Sugar Hill.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's a
That dude died.
classic.
That first album was just crazy, you know. But definitely, like, I appreciate that, man, because, like, you know, when we first started exchanging texts, like, I just found it dope that somebody locally, like, that's on a similar frequency that as me is like appreciates like Common, and I got laughed at for
Man,
listening to Common
what?
as a kid, bro. They like, you listen to Common?
Bruh, Common, I would say, is my favorite artist outside of J. Cole. And I've been to 2 Common concerts. One here in the city when he performed with the orchestra.
Okay, I didn't
and
see
one
that
down
one.
in Atlanta.
Okay.
But yeah, Common is super dope with the lyrics.
Oh man, dope, bro. Like Common, one of the goats. He not my favorite, but he definitely in my top 5.
Yeah, who your favorite most
My
def?
favorite most that.
Yeah.
My favorite most. Yeah, my favorite is most. I seen most live. I seen most in Atlanta live. I mean, it was him and Erica. But Atlanta, bro, Atlanta has some of the bougiest crowds, bro. Like, you know what I mean? They just, cause you know, Atlanta's like Black Hollywood.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been a better experience if I would have seen most in like Brooklyn,
Yeah,
or something,
or New York, for
or
sure.
New
Yeah,
York,
yeah.
somewhere in Cali.
The love would have been
You know
crazy.
what I mean? It just was. Everybody was just like, ah. I mean, they was there to see Erica, but they was even kind of mid for Erica too.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, as dope as Atlanta is low-key the birthplace of trap music.
it is. It
So when
is.
it
It
comes
is.
to artists like Mos Def and Erica, there's certain pockets of people who will appreciate it,
Yeah.
but from a large crowd standpoint,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
probably would be mid.
Yeah, for sure. That's a fact. That's a fact. All right, let's get to some. Let's get to some. To you. Where are you from? Like, what's your roots, man? And, you know, man, where you grow up, man, and you know, and how did you become Kenny the Speaker? But let's just start from the beginning. You know, to like let people know, because this space, this podcast, is for people like you, community people who are doing real work every day in the field, grinding, touching people, you know what I mean, to share what they got going on and to highlight it too, because I feel like so many celebrities are highlighted, you know what I mean, and even local celebrities are highlighted, man. It's about who's the coolest, who's wearing this, but people actually out here doing the work, you know what I mean, changing lives, educating people, you know. So I want to highlight you in this moment, give you your flowers. I don't have no flowers, you know what I'm saying? I ain't like Nori. I can't give you no flowers right now, but you know, I just want to just thank you for the work you do, brother, man. And yeah, man, let's just start from the genesis, man. Like, you know what I mean? Where'd you start from? Where are you from, man?
Did came out the womb of legend in Hampton, Virginia.
Where are you from?
Yeah,
Virginia? Okay.
Yep, so that's where I was
Love
born.
Virginia, love the water.
Same.
Yeah, love the
I
water.
was there for the first 10 years of my life. And so reason being down there, both parents were in the military.
Okay.
And when I was born, it was just my dad in the military.
Okay.
And when he retired, him being from Cincinnati, the plan was for always him, my mom, me, and my sister to move back to Cincinnati.
Okay. Okay.
So being back in Cincinnati, grew up in Mount Healthy.
Okay.
And so I wear that with pride because my dad graduated from Withrow. He literally bleeds orange.
Okay.
Class of 87.
Okay.
So he's at almost every football game.
Okay.
They're talking crazy.
Okay.
So growing up, seeing that and seeing how the alumni came together and it was like a family, but then also him being prideful about where he came from, I grew that same sense of pride for Mount Healthy. And so also being someone who loves history, just looking back on the many legends that came from Mount Healthy, and then me myself wanting to become a legend. All right, so growing up was always a quiet but really smart kid with a great memory, really curious, and would question things even if I got in trouble for it, or go against the grain. All right, but from a smart standpoint, graduated high school when I was 16, and then when I say that, people are like, "Man, how you do that? You just skip some grades?" I was like, so when I literally say it came out the womb of legend, spent 2 weeks in preschool. All right, so 4 years old, go to preschool. The first time in school building, they're like, yeah, he's too smart. We're just gonna move him to kindergarten now.
Okay.
So 4 years old in kindergarten, and then my birthday is in June, so it was already late. And so I'm playing catch up all K through 12.
Okay.
And so graduated at 16, but turned 17 3 weeks after graduation. But school K through 12 was easy because it typically was all memory. And so me being an auditory learner, whatever the teacher say on Tuesday and we got a test on Friday, I'm gonna pass it. I don't have to study at all. That wasn't the case when I got to college. But going through high school and still being somewhat quiet and shy around certain pockets of people, like definitely large groups, right? Being in advanced classes, all right, I'll be the class clown, but put me in front of the entire class, and I'm gonna get real shy and quiet. It's like, man, y'all do y'all thing. From a failure standpoint, right, because nobody ever talks about that part enough. In high school, I got cut from the high school basketball team twice. And it wasn't because I wasn't good enough, it was because I had lacked courage and confidence. And so finally getting over that hump, right, increasing my courage and confidence, but still having some battles to get through, right, finally getting the game, but I'm still kind of afraid. Like, oh, what if I turn it over? Man, coach gonna take me out. What if I miss this shot? They gonna laugh at me now and when I get to class tomorrow. Just being really cautious about my decisions. But eventually reached a point where it's like, man, skip it. People's opinions matter to a certain degree, but there's a time and place for everything. So sometimes people's opinions really don't matter. You just gotta go do the work and show them how great you are. I have a real interesting relationship with the words cocky and humble because I don't really like the word humble because of the way it's used. We've made the word humble synonymous with quiet, and those two things are not the same. Right? If I say, all right, I'll give an example, Muhammad Ali, all right, he says, I am the greatest. He goes, man, he's not humble. Like, how do you know? Like, because he said he's the greatest, like, what is he supposed to say? I'm second best or I'm not the best? Like, huh? Like, why would you do that? Like, you're supposed to be confident, and for me, I feel like cocky and confident are the same thing. If you choose to say how great you are out loud, cool. Now it's on you to go back it up. And people say they like humble, but when you look at who typically sells the most and who people gravitate towards, is those who they would label as not humble. The word humble really means to lower your self-worth. And so that's why I don't rock with the phrase be humble, because there are some times where I can't be lowering my self-worth. Like, I have to up it to show you how great I am and really to inspire you to be better, and typically, not even typically, essentially to become your best self. And so I can't have you being humble in the wrong moments. Right? Like, I need you, I need you being cocky and confident. I need you being cocky and confident sometimes. Especially when it's time to sell yourself and sell yourself to the world. Like, what is your skill set? What is your passion? What is your purpose? Why are you here? And why should we put money in your pocket?
I mean, you talk about humble. So were you always outspoken? You know what I mean? Were you always feeling like, did you always have the courage? You know what I mean? Like where did this voice, when did you find the voice?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? When did you
man.
discover your voice? That should be the question, because I'm gonna edit all that other stuff out I just said. When did you find your voice?
I would say I found my voice definitely in college. I want to say my first speech, but even then I was super nervous. So I would say one of the last speeches I gave while being a college student back at my school. And so letting go of a spring break opportunity to have fun in Florida, to train for track one, but then two, come back to my high school to tell the students what they should be preparing themselves for, right? And knowing that the students would listen to me, and students are much easier to talk to than peers or those who are older than me. And then deeper into your question, growing up, I was not outspoken and did not like attention. So I would speak really, really fast in order to avoid the room being quiet and everybody only listening to me, right? So I know I'm really smart, so I'm gonna find a way to say what I'm saying in a concise or compendious manner, right? To get it out the way and put the pressure on the next person. Especially, right, being typically the youngest in the room, and now I'm the youngest in the room, but I wear it with pride, right? But back then, it wasn't like a badge of honor. It's, no, I'm finna get picked on. Like, oh, you a baby in here, listen to your elders, and you think you know everything. Like, I mean, I don't know everything, but I know some stuff, and I know I'm capable enough to be here. But then from a physical standpoint, can I back that up? Of course, there were certain times growing up, like being smaller than everybody. So like, from an emotional standpoint, conversations and discussions and debates get to a certain level where it's like, well, you can't beat me up. And it's like, all right, so I'm not gonna go to that level. So I'm gonna just stay in my kind of box and try to beat people intellectually, but only. But yeah, found my voice in college for sure. High school was definitely shy. Didn't want to give any public speeches. And shout out to my sister. She was salutatorian in high school, and she had to give a speech at graduation. And so she was a speaker, quote unquote, before I was. Because if I had to do that in high school, I don't know what I would have said or if I would have even made it through the speech.
Yeah, for sure. I feel that when I'm hearing, no matter what, it sounds like, you always kind of had a voice. It's just maybe you didn't share it.
Yeah.
You heard yourself. You know what I mean? So it sounds like to me, and you talk about it a lot on your social media page about emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
When did you become familiar with that concept? And even begin to understand that that's something that you possessed and ultimately could hone, get better at, and use that skill to help others develop with your speaking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I didn't become aware of even the term emotional intelligence until I was a junior in college.
Okay.
And so growing up, or as a young black man, they tell you, man, you got to control your emotions, especially being an athlete. But they never told us how many emotions there were. And there's a theory that there's 22. And you end up essentially becoming your parents. And a lot of parents, people in general, are still emotional babies. So from an emotional intelligence standpoint, we're emotionally unintelligent. While we either happy, sad, or mad, just like babies. And so the only emotions I would see from my parents from an articulation standpoint would be they either happy or mad. And so when I'm on the basketball court, this is where I can remember emotions coming into play. I would get really, really mad, and still would do to this day, when my teammates would do something super goofy. Like, bro, I know you're better than that. What are you doing? And it's like, I can't just let it slide. Like, I got to go off.
Right.
And my dad would be like, man, you out there too angry. You got to just have fun. It's like, no. Like, it's okay to be angry at times and express it. But then how do I articulate these other emotions, whether maybe I'm depressed or maybe I am fearful, or maybe I am experiencing moments of joy. All right, and so being able to articulate how I truly feel, that didn't come until probably 2022, and that's when I actually learned the theory behind there may be 22 emotions.
Yeah, yeah.
But man, reason I got to this point is having so many past failed romantic relationships.
Oh yeah, talk
Boy,
about
and
it.
like relationships, especially on the romantic side, are very emotional.
Yeah, man.
And I would be one to typically be stoic in public because I had to be. All right, as a black man, I know that there's certain emotions. If I express them, I'm either viewed as weak, unable to be a leader, or I'm going to face severe consequences.
Right.
Right, so with those options available, yeah, I'm gonna just not show emotion. But when it comes to being in romantic relationships and dealing with women, right, the one that's already an emotional place to be in, and then now I feel comfortable enough to express myself. And when expressing myself, a lot of anger would come out, especially if I wasn't satisfied with certain things. So yeah, after those past failures, and it's like, man, I'm doing a lot of self-reflection and seeing how other relationships have failed, and hearing from men and women the things they're going through in their relationships. Like I'm able to pinpoint, like, oh, you don't know enough about emotions, nor do you know enough about yourself, and you're not even vulnerable or safe enough to feel that it's okay to actually have emotions. So yeah, we're all emotional beings, and funny enough, birthday is June 22nd, and so I would put my zodiac sign as Cancer.
You Cancer. I'm Scorpio.
Hey, that's what's up.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
Hey, watch this. When people hear, they be like, "Oh, you emotional?"
Yeah, right, yeah,
So
yeah.
not knowing about emotions, I'm like, and humans, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
If I'm a human being, technically we're all emotional.
Absolutely.
It's like, when do you choose to express it, and what do you choose to become emotional about? See, it's a very interesting topic that I love speaking about, love learning more about, and glad that people are saying it out loud more. But still knowing, all right, there's a balance. Time for everything. All right. Like you're not gonna see me cry while I'm giving a speech, right?
Right,
My
right.
life may be going crazy,
Right,
but,
right.
like, I still got a job to do.
Exactly.
So hold on, and compartmentalization can be unhealthy, but can also be a really good thing. So like you having a bad day, but still gotta do what's necessary. And so, hey, put that to the side, do what you gotta do, and then cry later.
Absolutely. And it sounds like, going back to just labeling your emotions. Like my best friend always say, he said, Brandon, stop labeling yourself. You're not emotional. Like you're in tune with how you feel. And then I feel like there's definitely a difference. You know what I mean? And even my father, I was talking to him the other day because I was sitting there, and man, I was just like, man, I'm defeated, man. I'm feeling defeated. He was like, man, you're not defeated. You're frustrated. You know what I mean? And having knowing how to pinpoint, you know what I mean, and on what that is, and knowing how to locate it, and knowing what it is, and not just saying, oh, I'm defeated, or I'm this, I'm that, because it's just adding on to stuff that you don't even really have. Like, you know what I mean? You're creating things inside of you that don't even really exist. So my question is, because I see you going into schools, I see you talking to people, I see you speaking, I see you doing all these things. How does someone in your position get let's start on a micro scale. It's not really a micro scale, it's kind of something huge. How does someone in your position, how do you reach a young man who's trying to understand, emotions, and is trying to learn that it's okay to feel? How do you reach that person? How do you reach that young dude? Because there's a lot of young dudes out here angry, especially in our communities. So how do you educate them? You know what I mean? How do you reach them with your voice? How do you bring emotional freedom out of them? You know what I mean? Have you experienced that before? Have you seen a product, from the work that you do, come to life? You know what I mean? Have you seen that?
Yeah, really good question. So for me, how I reach young men is I'm literally talking to a younger version of me, right? The things that they're seeing, the things that they're experiencing, things they're thinking about, things they're eating, things they're doing. Like I've done all of that, and so I know what you're going through, bro. And so I'm able to talk about where you are and where you can eventually be. But first, we got to unpack what's going on in your life, and so gaining their trust is probably the biggest thing. Like, I know the things that you want to achieve in life, and that is quote unquote success. right? But letting them know you got to define success for yourself,
That's a
right?
fact.
Especially when I'm talking to young black men, you do not have to be an athlete or an entertainer in order to achieve success. But if you do choose those routes, don't get so wrapped up in that identity that you forget you're a human 1st, right? And so it's okay to feel emotions, but what are we being emotional about? And then is it the right time and place to express certain emotions, right? So let's say you out here spazzing at school, all right? And so now the teachers don't trust you in terms of recommending you for certain opportunities, right? Whether that's going on a certain field trip where you get to meet, let's say the mayor, for example, or they got this really dope scholarship opportunity, but we can't trust no little Johnny because he might go off, right? And so saying those things out loud, it's like, hey, you're literally shooting yourself in the foot by making these decisions, right? And I know when we're acting emotionally, it's a reaction, but still teaching them to take the time to pause and think, right? No matter what. Like, for example, I asked somebody, what would you do if you won the lottery? Man, I would do X, Y, Z. Like, what would you do if you lost it all? Like, man, I'd be super salty. And my answer to both of those questions is stop and think. Literally, I won the lottery. All right, stop and think. What am I going to spend this money on? Lose it all. Stop and think. How am I going to go get it back? All right, so literally just taking time to stop, think, and then respond. So that's how I reach them.
I love that, man. I love that. Ooh, I love that, man. Those are bars right there. So when you so when you're in the classroom, because you do go to classrooms a lot, what is? Of course, I know the conversation is different, with different groups.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What is it like for you in the classroom when you're speaking? Is it you don't strike me as the hey, I'm a dictator. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like so like how do you collaborate with students when in the classroom? And what do some of your workshops look like? What are some of the things you do with students, whether it's on the college level, kids like when we did summer scholars together? What are some of the things that you do, and what are some of your methods that can help other teaching artists and people teaching fine, whatever. You know what I mean? How do you reach them? What are some of your workshops? What are some of your methods?
Yeah, I always make sure it's a conversation. So I fully invite questions and curiosity, but then also letting them know who I am, what I have achieved, and also the things that I failed at. Right. So I can help
Making
you.
showing that you're human.
Yeah, I can help you get to where you want to go. Right, and maybe you want to be the next me, or maybe you want to be better than me, maybe you want to do something else, right? But I'm gonna show you the steps on how I got there. So that's the education part, and then by telling you what I did, hopefully I inspire you, right? But me also being curious, I want to learn more about you, right? So who are you? Whether that be where you from, what are you currently doing, but where do you eventually want to end up, all right? And so breaking those things down, like making sure they're using their resources. Right, whatever they say they want to go do, right, making sure we're actually courageous and confident, but able to actually define what those words even mean, right? So what I don't like is when I'm speaking and I ask the crowd a question, and then they just give me Instagram quotes. Yeah, nah, we're not going for that. Right. You got to believe in yourself. What does it mean to believe? What does it mean?
Right.
Or even be confident. Like I'll say that, but what does confident mean? It's like, do you know yourself? Do you love yourself? Like you say you're gonna do something, do you actually do it? So I make it very conversational based and invite curiosity. All right, so it's a bar that's in the back of my book, but it's kind of the premise of the book, and it's a line by not RZA, Master Killer. I think he said it. No, RZA probably said it in the song "School." He said, "I still like a man and I question the teacher." All right, so when I'm going into these classrooms, I'm not just a monologuer. All right, so when I say I'll make it a conversation, I'm really making a conversation. Like, does that make sense? I'm gonna ask you questions. And what is it that y'all want to hear? Like, I might have a certain topic I want to talk about, or the teacher invited me to come speak about. Right, but what is in y'all minds that y'all are curious about? Whether the teacher's not telling you, or they are telling you, but you want to learn more. Or you feel that you've been lied to, right? Or you are seeking confirmation. Right, so I get the service that spark for them, and essentially be in a big brother role. And also knowing that education and school aren't the same thing. Right, so school is typically tied to a curriculum. It's confined to a building. Right, the conversations I have in classrooms I can have anywhere. But the great thing about school is that that's where all the kids got to go. All right, and so now I got a whiteboard, I got space, so I can do what I do in a safe environment. So I love it, man. That's where my speaking career all started. Obviously, I've spoken so many other places now, but love going into the classroom, getting on that whiteboard, and diving into the minds from a non-curriculum standpoint. And so whether I'm infusing hip hop, I'm infusing comedy, culture, all of the above.
I want you to dive a little deeper when you talked about the difference between school and education.
Yeah.
What is the difference from being a teacher and being an educator to you?
Yeah, so teacher has the connotation of confined to a classroom, right? So funny enough, I was on a podcast about 2 weeks ago and I got asked, man, Kenny, what's your favorite question? And I got stumped. And I ended up saying that I love when people ask me, Kenny, who are you outside of what you do? Like if you're not speaking, if you're not selling books, if you're not educating young black men, all right, what do you do? But I think my true favorite question is when I'm walking hallways or finishing up a speech, say, hey, so are you a teacher?
Yeah.
And I say, not in the classroom, but I teach everywhere I go. Right, but I do know the connotation of teachers, like you got to be confined to a classroom. An educator can be anyone who is helping someone else learn something and pull out the best that is inside of them, right? So even on the way here, I was thinking, right, like what are educators? And so an example of an educator would be like a barber. So a barber doesn't have a teaching license, right? But he's there educating the young brother on many aspects of life.
course, absolutely.
Like the conversations that me and my barber had are crazy, but extremely influential and educational.
Of course.
Like he's put me on game to many, many things, whether that was women, relationships, life, finances, questioning the system, learning how to not get finessed out here. Being a professional, but then also remembering to have fun with life, right?
Of course.
And so I wasn't having those conversations with my teachers in school,
Of course not.
right? But I'm still being educated on life aspects by someone who doesn't have a teaching license, but he is an educator.
I like that. I like that. Great answer. Great answer. And you had that freedom too. I feel like you have more freedom as an educator.
Absolutely.
You can infuse more philosophy. I feel like a teacher, like definitely it gets more instructional. It's
Yeah.
like, all right, a teacher can write things on the board, in my opinion. Like, all right, this is homework.
Yeah, I
You
feel
know
like
what I mean?
too many teachers are curriculum regurgitators, and they kind of have to become constant disciplinarians, but.
Even
I don't-
babysitters.
Yeah, I personally don't have that problem, but I do see the cultural difference, be it that I am a young black man and most teachers are middle-aged to young white women.
Of course, yeah.
And so I can walk in the classroom, hey, we ain't doing all that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Susie, she don't got that
Oh,
same
of course.
authority
course.
or swagger that comes with it.
Oh, of course. I mean, even off the strength of your shoes. You know how many minds I done reached off my shoes.
Yeah.
Mr. Isaac, Mr. Brandon, you got on some J's, you know what I mean? I like them.
Yeah,
Next
what
thing
you know about that?
you know about
Yeah.
them. Next thing I'm sprinkling some nuggets, you know what I mean? So I think
Hey, even let's say you weren't wearing J, let's say you was wearing some dress shoes.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
People like, oh, what is them? Like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
I got a job.
I got a job. I like that.
They're like, oh man,
Yeah.
like let me put you on game. Like
Uh-huh.
the J's still at home, but I'm wearing these showing like I'm here to make money because I'm over here looking like money.
That's a fact.
All right, so let me show you how to look like money without having to spend a whole bunch of it.
Yeah, oh yeah, I like that. I like that. So, you're an educator, you know what I mean? You do a lot of different things, speaker, but you're also a writer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're also a writer. How did the book come about? What is the book called again?
Yeah, the book is called Question Everything, and then the subtitle is Advice for Students and Graduates.
When did you write this book? How did this book come to life?
Yeah, the book was a 9-month process.
Okay.
So I released it on my 25th birthday, June of 2022.
Okay.
Officially started writing it September 2021.
Okay.
Randomly opened my laptop and started writing everything that came to mind. So I knew I was about to be done with being on the school board. I was coming up on the end of my professional track career, and I was getting burnt out from doing business consulting. And I was doing all those things at the same time. So still trying to be Superman like I was in high school and college, right? Doing so many different things. But on a professional level, All right, that word professional, you got to be professional in all of those things. And when you want to be professional and elite at something, it's really best to pick one thing and maybe two, but wiser to just pick one and dive deep into that. And yes, that may flow into other things, but I picked three separate pockets to be great at. But it's like, maybe I should just pick one. And so writing about that and planning my next steps. But a lot of the book stemmed from notes from my iPhone all the way back in 2014 when I was a freshman in college.
Oh, wow.
Right, so I fail an exam, I have a good track meet, bad track meet, go to a dope conference, learn something new from a YouTube video, get my heart broke, maybe I want to write a poem or a rap about what I'm seeing going on in the world or what's going on in my mind. And so, all right, that's simply me giving myself advice and looking back on the things that I said and wrote. It's like, whoa, I wrote that, or even setting goals. Like I remember I wrote down I was gonna get a certain internship, get flown out to California, and then get a full-time job offer. All of those things came to fruition. Look back on my notes, it's like, whoa, I fully wrote this into existence. And so, hey, shout out to Nas, right? We listen to the album right now, but it was written.
Oh yeah, it was
Right?
written.
And
Absolutely,
so
100%.
I wrote it down and then put in the work to go make it go happen. So that's where, right back to the cocky conversation, it's like, oh, you cocky? Like you say you gonna do this and that? It was like, but I did it.
Yeah.
So now, and then even if I failed, like, so what? Like, I'm gonna keep trying, or I learned a lesson. Like, all right, I didn't achieve it, but it's not gonna stop me from not saying what I'm aiming to do. So yeah, that's the answer to that question.
Yeah, I heard that. And to go a little deeper, usually when I go in the classroom, a lot of young kids don't want to write. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to get them to write. You know what I mean? Especially, pen to pad. You know what I mean? That's how we came up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know me personally, I do journal, but I usually write when I come to me writing my rhymes and my thoughts down, usually in my phone.
Yep.
What is your method on getting a kid to write, or how do you try to get and how do you help them understand the importance of writing their thoughts down, and no matter what space it's in, and should it be just, in a box of you have to write it down on this piece of paper? Do you think there should be voice notes added in?
Yeah.
What do you think about the future of teaching, writing, and just getting your thoughts out in general in the classroom?
Yeah, I feel that writing is extremely therapeutic. Right? So even me writing my book, that was some of the best therapy, right? And I was getting to the flow state, similar like to the Disney movie Soul. Right? So some nights I'm up till 4 a.m. literally just writing, not even looking at the time. I would wake up inspired at 4 a.m. some nights, hey, just start writing. I could be in the middle of a workout, middle of a conversation. It's like, oh, more to write. Like I put that into the book. Driving. I remember one time, so I thought the book was gonna be about long jump because, right, professional track, I was going for the Olympics. I was like, all right, and after I get a medal, I'm gonna write a book about long jump and related to life. And so a drive down from Cleveland on July 4th, 2019, 3.5 hour drive. I didn't listen to any music. I literally just spoke into my phone, relating long jump to life and the lessons that I learned. And so, yes, I'm a big fan of voice notes, especially like voice to text, but then not always having to rely on pen to paper. Like people say they can't write a book or they can't write a paper. I'm like, yes, you can, because you write captions. And people say, I can't write a book. I'm like, how many text messages do you send a day or a week or a month within a year?
Yeah.
Like, that's probably 3 books right there.
Yeah, easy.
Right? And so me even writing my book, I would send myself text messages. All right. So, or send myself an email. And you asked, how do I get young kids to write? I tell them that it's therapeutic, but then also I give them my secret sauce or question that I always ask when I'm on stage, right? So what's a 2-word phrase of advice you would give to your younger self, right? And I make people be really concise and confine it to 2 words because you don't even remember a 2-word phrase. And that 2-word phrase is going to expand because it came from somewhere. Right, so them 2 words can turn into a sentence, turn into a paragraph. And so in one of my recent speeches at North College Hill, we really did the exercise of, all right, everybody come up with that 2-word phrase. All right, now we're going to pencil and paper, write that letter to your younger self, but using those 2 words. So if you said, man, be confident, write down why you said be confident, right? And what instances in your life where you're not confident and now you want to tell your younger self, hey, like it's okay to actually believe in yourself in this moment and speak up if you need to. And it's like, oh man, I didn't know that was inside of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of reasons why kids don't like reading and writing is because one, we was forced to, but then also forced to do it in about things we don't like or see the meaning behind.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Like I had to write a paper in high school about The Great Gatsby. It was like, bro, I don't care. Like I need to read this book to know that rich girls don't marry poor boys.
Right.
Like you could just told me that. Like I know.
Right.
Like man, you gotta get the bag.
Facts. Yeah.
But my book, for example, or if it would have been a book. Like Kobe's book, for example, I read it in high school. Man, I would have been all over that.
Yeah,
It's like, write a paper about this. All right, bet. Like, man, Kobe learned this lesson. Man, he failed here. He got injured then, but he still pushed through. Right? He had a whole trial, but hey, he still persevered. It's like, oh man, I learned so much, and like it just literally just flowed. When you write about something you truly do not care about, that's when it gets tough. Or read something like some reading like Animal Farm, Fahrenheit 451. And so me just always loving the deeper meaning behind stuff. I know the deeper meaning behind those stories. But when you talk about the average kid, especially with a limited attention span, especially now with social media, movies, short clips, it's like so much going on. It's like, man, I'm not about to sit down and read this.
Right.
Yeah, but if I love basketball, if I love hip hop, if I want to be a doctor, right, I'll read about that. Especially if I know the author looks like me and comes from where I come from.
Yeah, I heard that, man. So my got a couple more.
Yeah, for sure.
Books, educating,
Yeah.
all these things. What does Kenny do to recharge? You know what I mean, what do you do to recharge, man? Because this is a lot. You do a lot, man. You know what I mean? And that's been my struggle lately. Is I read this quote that is, I think it said, if healing is acknowledging your pain, then living is acknowledging your life. And I have not been acknowledging my life. I've been going and going, trying to heal trauma, doing all this. I'm looking like, man, I've been living, but have I really been living? And have I really been enjoying this? You know what I mean? So how do you recharge? How do you take time for yourself and take care of this? And, you know, that way you can be your most optimal self.
Yeah, man, great question. Make sure I get my sleep. Do I always get the 7.5 to 8? No, but I try to get my sleep, take naps. Me being a speaker, right, I might speak to 400 people on Monday. On Tuesday, I don't want to talk to nobody. Or even that night, it's like, hey, everybody shut up.
Right.
Like I literally have to recharge. My social battery is low.
Facts.
So taking those moments to be isolated on purpose. I also love working out. And so, like, matter of fact, I woke up at 3 a.m. this morning to go work out.
For real?
And after the workout, got in the sauna. And so all of those things, like, I'm spending alone time and I'm being by myself. And shout out to 19 Keys I view myself as an etymologist. And so, like, literally studying words and breaking them down. And even from a sound standpoint. So, like, spending alone time, like, alone. And so in financial terms, like alone, like what would a loan be like? Is going to get more money so that you can benefit from it now and or in the future, right? And so spending alone time, like literally I'm spending time with myself, right? When I'm by myself, like I'm literally buying myself, like I'm buying time to be with me. And so that's how Kenny recharges, right? So working out, being by myself, also doing things that I love. And so, man, love listening to rap music, love listening to love songs, and so I'll sing in the car, at home.
Got to.
Yeah, for sure. I be listening to the jams.
Yeah, got to. Got to.
And playing basketball. Because that's something that I would say that's my first love, right? Outside of the parents, obviously. But like something I loved doing was playing basketball. And so that helps me recharge as well.
Love that, man.
Yeah. Also want to add being in nature.
Oh,
right? So
yes.
The time of the year is the reason I said that last.
Because
we're in Cincinnati, dumb cold outside.
Yeah, man.
Don't feel like being outside right now. But today the sun was out. Right?
It was
like 60.
It
and
was.
So I literally took a nap in the car, just letting the sun beat.
Man, I love doing that. You know, it's funny because you know I was talking to Amy the other day. We were sitting there talking. I was like, man, I would love to figure out how I could have like some group where it's like 2 or 3 men and we take a bunch of young black boys out to go hike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I didn't know what that was. I didn't understand the value of nature until I got older, of course. You know, I'm like, wow, man, I should have been doing this.
Yeah.
I'm finally noticing the birds. Like you know, like a lot of wokeism would be like, oh, the bird was speaking to me. No, you just now finally paying attention to the bird. The bird's been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just now finally slowing yourself down. You know what I mean? So definitely want to build with you about that too in the future. Like,
Yeah,
you know
for
what I
sure.
mean? Like how we can, you know, get some young brothers, like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, out in some nature and do some stuff.
Yeah, I love nature, bro. Like,
Yeah.
we started the conversation with my genesis and being born in Hampton, Virginia.
Yeah.
Reason I even did long jump in college, or high school, college, and professionally, is because I was jumping into sand. And
Yeah.
so me jumping into sand, it literally was like a visit to the beach. And being
Yeah.
from Hampton, my dad would take us to the beach every day. In order to get faster. Right?
Yeah.
But also having fun, playing in the water. And then so fast forward to doing long jump, it's like going to the beach. But then track, I love outdoor track, hated indoor track because I feel like it was meant to be outside.
Of course,
But then I
yeah.
love like the sun and literally love sweating. But then also, especially like being people of the sun, black people.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I gotta get this sun. Like,
Yeah.
why would I want to be crammed inside on an artificial light when I could be outside with the most powerful energy in the world? Like, we're little suns, but like that's literally the big sun where we get our energy from.
Yeah.
Like without the sun, nothing grows.
That's a fact.
It's like, man, let me go get this sun.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. What is your ultimate vision, man? Like, what do you ideally, you know, where do you want to be? I mean, you got everything going right now. Where are you headed? You know, do you know, like, what are you trying to reach? What's that tangible thing? Of course, life is long. I don't think we'll ever be fulfilled.
For sure.
I know, of course, we're always gonna be wanting
Yep.
more. Do you wanna continue to do stuff locally? Do you wanna, you know, eventually move to it somewhere else? You know what I mean? What are you thinking, man?
Eventually would love to become a full-time speaker,
Okay.
but also impact curriculum. So, right, people obviously I get the question, are you a teacher? No, but then would I ever consider being a teacher? Yes and no. The no part is I don't want to be confined to someone else's curriculum,
Yeah, man.
especially one that is highly European based or not preparing students for life after high school.
Yes.
Right, that's a big premise behind the book as well, like preparing you for life.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're going through K through 12. What are we doing? What are we preparing these students for?
Yeah.
All right, we just lead them to the slaughter. Like,
Right,
man,
exactly.
that is terrible.
Yeah, it is, man.
And so yes, I do blame the school for many things, but then also make the student look in the mirror too.
Yeah,
like,
facts.
hey, what can you do in order to propel yourself and make sure you're truly prepared for life after this?
Yeah.
So impacting curriculum to actually help students with their life skills, make sure they're actually using their resources, and then helping them figure out what it is that they want to do. But even before that, like figure out who you are, what you want, and then how are you going to go get it. Eventually, speaking of nature, I want to live somewhere warmer. Yeah, probably Florida.
Yeah, I heard that.
Even though, man, they trying to take away Black history. Man, they can never take away my history.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially I'm gonna teach everywhere I go. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
ain't nobody gonna
exactly.
Shut me up.
Exactly.
And also just like loving the beach too. So
Yeah, man.
those are Kenny's goals. And then of course we'll eventually want to be married.
Yeah, man. Man, I know that's like kind of outside the education conversation, but you know what's the love life like, man? Yeah, you out
it's
there.
hard out here. It's hard out here. Man, I can put this on the podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, man, in 2024, the level of promiscuousness is off the charts. Right? I don't think I've heard that on all these podcasts.
Yeah.
Especially when scrolling through social media and like this red pill environment that we're in.
Yeah.
But like nobody talks about that part enough.
Yeah, man.
And so I know, and I'll generalize when I say women, but people are looking for attention when it comes to social media and going out.
Yeah.
But at what point does it become too much?
Yeah.
And then what is your ultimate goal?
Yeah.
For example, when you're posting your butt on literally every photo, or like every photo you take, you're slanted to the side to show your assets.
Yes.
It's like, hey, come on, like,
Yeah.
guys will get googly eye, you'll get attention, people will
Yeah.
swipe up, but like, what are you looking for? Like, are you looking to get married? Are you looking to just
Yeah.
show off yourself? Like, get paid for this? Like, what is the goal here?
Yeah.
And so me, knowing that I eventually want to be married, would want a more modest woman who can also help me in certain areas. And the biggest area would probably be just someone to intellectually spar with. Right? I definitely love intellectual conversations.
Yeah.
And not just talking about goofy stuff. Like, yes, I love making jokes, watching movies.
Yeah.
But then,
Eventually, you sitting there like, come on.
yeah, like let's build something. And what is going through your mind? Like, are you just so focused on Ice Spice and what's going on in hip hop culture?
Come on.
Man, like, or are you reading books to feed into yourself? What kind of food are you eating? Right? Are you working out?
Yeah, stuff matters, man.
Yeah, like literally, I'm paying attention to everything. All right, and so the homies will say, "Man, you diving too deep," but I'm like, "Am I?"
Nah.
Like, and I know that the wife that I choose is a reflection of me. And so also I'm thinking from a business standpoint. Right, let's say a school district wants to hire Kenny Glenn. I mean, Kenny, we're gonna bring you out here, and we know that you are really inspirational, and you're gonna educate these students. Right? Oh man, you married? I didn't know that. They go to my wife's Instagram page. They see nothing but cakes. Whoa, like this was you?
Yeah, you're right, right. Exactly, man. I'm
what kind of
already
advice you about to give our children?
Exactly.
Especially the young men, like go and get you.
100%, man.
I ain't gonna say the word, but like, it's wild out here. And so,
man, it's rough out here in these streets.
yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough, man.
But she out there. She out there.
Yeah,
Hopefully
right.
she watch this podcast.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, that's what's up, man. I mean, man, I appreciate you coming to share with us, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, brother.
Man, no problem. And you're a big pillar here in our community, man. And thank you, man. And like, I feel like there's a collective of people right now in the city that are going into schools, that are doing different things and working with kids and nonprofits like this. You know what I mean? It's necessary, man. You're definitely a part of that ecosystem, man. And it's dope to know you, and I definitely want to like do more work with you. Like, you know what I mean?
Likewise,
For sure,
brother.
man.
Likewise.
I don't know what we'll do, but we got to collaborate.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And build on something, man. But any last words, anything you want to share? You know what I mean? Get off your chest, man. And
Man, just me being a thought provoker. I want anyone who listens to this to think about who they are, right? So dive into self-reflection. And then the question I said earlier when I'm inspiring students, like literally, what is the 2-word phrase of advice you would give to your younger self? Right. So some examples being love yourself, be confident, slow down, and obviously mine is the title of my book, me and question everything. Right. So wherever that information came from, who it came from, or how that idea popped into your head, question it and find out, is it truth?
I love that, man. You heard it from Kenny Glenn.
Yes, sir.
Brandon Isaac, thank you for your time, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Man, this was dope.
Man,
Dope
yeah,
first episode. Peace. Thank y'all for tuning in. See you next episode. That was dope.
Yeah, man, that was super fun.